Hi students, I'm Sheena Narayanan from Learning Factor. So today we'll discuss about the chapter Chemical Reactions and Equations. Okay, so before knowing about the chemical reaction, we need to know what are changes. What do you mean by a change? Okay, so change can be defined as it is a process in which the final state of the substance differs from the initial state. What do you mean by that? That is, initially a substance will be in a particular state. Okay, so after the reaction, once the reaction is completed, it will be in the different form. Okay, but whatever, it can be a physical change, it can be a chemical change, whatever. Initially it will be in different form, and at the final state it will be a different substance. Okay, so that is called as change. Okay, yes, so changes are of two types: physical change and chemical change. As the name mentioned, in physical change, the change in physical properties occur. So physical properties like shape, size, physical state, etc. For example, melting of ice is there. What happens in melting of ice? Initially, ice will be up in the solid state. Water will be in the solid state. What happens when it melts? It forms to a liquid state, right? So change in the state, solid state to liquid state. So what happens here? Physical properties get changed. Like here, physical status get changed. So it is a physical change. That is, physical properties of the substance changes. That is, initially the substance physical property will be a particular type, and once after the reaction, the physical properties get changes to another type. Okay, so that is called as physical changes. So what next is chemical change. So as the name suggests, chemical changes are those changes in which chemical properties of the substance change, like composition change along with this. Yes, and along with the chemical change, sometimes physical properties also get changed. Sometimes, it is not always, but sometimes the chemical properties also, physical properties also get changed. Okay, so chemical changes are those changes in which chemical properties get changed. That is, initially a substance will be there and it react with another reactant, and both the reactants it combine and the resultant will be different. Like chemical reactions occur inside the atom molecule, it combine inside the reaction, and the resultant, the product will be of different, will be having different chemical properties. So those changes are called as chemical changes. Okay, so changes are of two types: physical change and chemical change. Okay, now example for chemical change is burning of wood. What happens in the burning of wood? Always when burning of wood, whatever substance get burned, it combines with oxygen. Whenever we need a burning, we require oxygen, right? Without oxygen, burning does not occur. So whenever a substance is burned, we require oxygen. So in burning of wood, wood reacts with oxygen. It reacts with oxygen, and what we get after we burn wood? We get ashes, right? So all the chemical changes, and in that physical changes also occur. Okay, chemical change, that is, all the properties of, most of the properties of wood get changed in the final product. Okay, yes. Now I have written few examples of physical and chemical properties here. Let's see what happens in each case. Okay, now first one is melting of ice. As I previously mentioned, melting of ice is a physical change. What happens in melting of ice? Solid is converted to liquid. So it is a physical change. Okay, next one is burning of candle. Burning of candle is an important one. In exam, like in 1 mark question, you may get what happens in burning of candle. Okay, that is a bit important. So what happens in burning of candle? See, for example, this is a candle. Okay, this is a flame. What happens in burning of candle? This is burning, right? Burning means it is combustion. Okay, combustion, when generally a combustion occur, it is generally a chemical change. So chemical change occur here. Okay, then again, when candle burns, what happens? This wax get melted, right? All these wax get melted. So here physical properties, that is physical change occur. So in burning of candle, both chemical and physical change occur. Both physical and chemical change occur in burning of candle. Next one is rusting of iron. What happens in rusting of iron? Iron, when we keep in the surrounding for a longer period of time. Okay, for a longer period of time, for months or years, if we keep, no need of years, for months if we will keep, what happens? A rust occur in above the iron, right? like a brown substance come. That is rust. Okay, that is a chemical change. That is iron react with oxygen and it form different compound that you have in the coming chapters. You have that. Okay, so rusting of iron is a chemical change. Okay. Yes, it is a chemical change. Now, cooking of food. What happens when we cook the food? We burn the food, right? We heat the food. So, in the heating of food also, chemical reactions occur inside the food, and here a chemical change occur. Okay, chemical change in the cooking of food. Now, formation of curd from milk. So, how curd is made? Your mother might be making, right? What she do? She took a bowl of milk, and inside that milk, what she adds little bit of curd. 1 or 2 spoons of curd she'll add, and overnight if you will keep, the next day morning we'll get curd. That bowl will be full of curd. What happens? The curd have some bacteria. The curd which we pour in that milk, right? That curd have some bacteria. It react with the milk. It react with the other milk, and the bacteria converts that milk into curd. Okay, so there also a chemical change occur. So this is also a chemical change. So next, so these are the change and type of change, and few examples also have noted. Now next we need to know what are chemical reactions.